What if a heartbeat could expose a murder? Welcome to Vintage Tales Narrations, where every story hides a darker truth. Tonight's tale will make you question your own senses. So listen closely, because even silence has a sound. True, I was nervous. Very, very nervous. But don't you dare call me mad. My senses were sharper than ever. I could hear everything in the room, even in the next room. I could hear things no one else could. How did it all begin? I can't say for sure. But once the idea entered my head, it stayed there day and night, haunting me. There was no anger, no greed. I even loved the old man. He never hurt me. I didn't want his money. It was his eye. Yes, the eye. One of his eyes looked like a vulture's, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it looked at me, my blood ran cold. Slowly, very slowly, I decided I must get rid of that eye forever. You might think a madman would be foolish, but you should have seen how clever I was. For a whole week, I was incredibly kind to him. But every night at midnight, I would open his door so quietly, I'd open it just enough to slip my head inside, holding a dark lantern. Only a tiny sliver of light shone out. Slowly, ever so slowly, I pushed my head in. I did this for 7 nights. But the eye always stayed closed. On the 8th night, I was more careful than ever. My heart raced. I felt strong, clever, powerful. Then my thumb slipped on the lantern's latch, and the old man woke. Who's there? He cried out. I stood perfectly still. I didn't move an inch. For a long time. He just listened, terrified. I heard his small groan of fear, and I knew his terror. I laughed quietly to myself. Finally, I made a tiny slit in the lantern. A single thread of light shone directly on the eye. It was wide open, that dull blue eye with the horrible veil over it. And then I heard it. A low, dull, quick sound, like a watch wrapped in cotton. The heartbeat. It grew faster, louder, like a drum beating inside my own head. It made me furious, but I stayed still, holding the light on the eye. Then I leapt into the room. He shrieked just once. I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I smiled. The deed was done. The heart still beat, muffled, but then it stopped. His chest was stone cold. He was dead. I cut the body into pieces and hid them under the floorboards. I put the boards back perfectly. No one could ever guess. No blood, nothing. Then 3 policemen arrived. A neighbor had heard a scream. I welcomed them warmly. I was so calm, so confident. I even brought chairs for them and sat right above the very spot where the body lay. They chatted, I chatted. Then I heard it again. A faint sound. That low, dull, quick sound. It grew louder and louder. It was the heartbeat coming from under the floor. I gasped. I started to shake. My hands trembled. But the officers, they just smiled. They didn't leave the sound. It just kept growing. I couldn't bear it anymore. I felt I would scream or die. Villains. I finally shouted, "Tear up the floor, here, here." It is the beating of his hideous heart. Some secrets, no matter how deeply buried, refuse to die. Some truths, no matter how tightly hidden, keep beating under the floorboards. He thought silence would save him, but truth never stays silent. It beats, it grows, it screams until it is heard. Thank you for listening to Vintage Tales Narrations, where every story has a heartbeat and every heartbeat has a story. Subscribe for more tales that will haunt you long after they're over.